101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. He is a 25 plus year SMB industry expert, dynamic owner, and CEO focused on Intuit QuickBooks and QuickBase, no other than Mr. Brad White.
Hey everyone, good. Thanks for inviting me onto the show.
Welcome to Book 101, Mr. Brad. And can you please introduce more about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. So, like you alluded to in the intro, Brad White been working with Intuit QuickBooks and QuickBase for over 25 years. QuickBooks, of course, is what most small businesses use to run their business and to do their accounting. And so I've been in that space for a long time, helping people use the software, clean up their messes when they do things wrong within their accounting software, and as well as just have a team of folks that do ongoing bookkeeping for QuickBooks. So my expertise is not only in the software but also in the leadership side of running a business. And so I've kind of seen it from both sides, right? Running a business and being an owner and CEO and a leader, as well as being more of that technical or that software type of expert.
Well, Mr. Brad White, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world through your business. And what's your first action protocol when a client doesn't pay and payroll is due?
In other words, like when if we have a client that has that problem,
Yes. What's your first thing to do?
well, I probably ask more questions. My first question is to ask more questions. A lot of times when clients approach us with a problem, whether it's, hey, not getting paid or not knowing how to maybe record a payment in QuickBooks, our our first response is to ask a bunch of questions, right? We need to make sure that we're talking about the right software, right? Because there's different versions of QuickBooks. We need to know how they were expecting to get paid. Has it worked before? Is it not working now? Like what happened between that? So I think a lot of what we do is discovery, trying to figure out what the real problem is, because if we don't understand what the problem is, we can't help them solve it. A lot of clients don't really know what's going on. They just know something's not working, right? So that's probably my first response is tell me more, help me understand exactly what you did and how you got here, and then we can help solve the problem.
Yes, tell me more. I will solve your problem. Beyond P and LS, what overlooked metrics like client acquisition or cost payback period reveal a profit killing inefficiencies?
Say that again. I'm having a little hard time understanding the question.
Beyond P and LS, what overlooked metrics like client acquisition or cost payback period reveal profit killing inefficiencies?
Okay, yeah. I think first off, I would say the biggest challenge with a lot of the businesses that we work with is maybe just not a very profitable business model, right?
Hmm.
You're running a business, you have a product or service that you're selling, and if you're talking about profitability, the most important thing to ask is how much are you charging for those services? I'm going to give you an example that's very, very germane to the QuickBooks industry. If you're a bookkeeping company, for example, there's a lot of bookkeeping companies out there. A lot of bookkeepers don't charge enough for their services, and so they're always fighting against that battle of profitability. Or is this, paying the bills, right? Am I able to, bring in enough money to have food on the table? And so, but that starts with charging enough for the services that you're providing, charging what you're worth. And so, out of all the, the many, many things that could be going wrong in a business that would affect the bottom line and affect the profitability and affect, different ratios that might be something we would focus on, probably the most important is are you charging an adequate amount for your services? And then beyond that, we can start looking at costs, like what are you spending money on, and is that leading to more revenue, or is it just something that's eating up all your profits?
Very well said, Mr. Brad. Very well said. Beautifully, beautifully articulated. And what underused financing tactics keep cash flowing without debt?
Well, that's a good question. So, cash flow without debt, there's only one way to do that, and that is to make sure that you've got enough revenue coming in from the services and products that you're selling. Okay. So, let's break that down for a second. Okay.
Okay.
Let's say I'm a trucking company. Okay. If I am, I'm going to charge my clients for the trucking, for the shipments, for the logistics services that I might be providing. Um, that has to drive cash flow that can then support payroll, rent, warehouses, insurance, all those types of things. And so if I don't want to take on debt, I have to make sure that primary service or product that I'm providing is providing enough cash flow, and I'm not uh, excessively spending on things that are maybe not necessary. Okay, so let's just assume that that's out of the box. That's the most important thing. Beyond that, the only other way to get money is to take loans, get a business line of credit, look for partners that could invest in your company. And so those are all effectively debt, right? I'm going to owe a bank, I'm going to owe a credit card, or I'm going to owe a partner or other investor in the business. So if I want to avoid all of that stuff, I ultimately have to just make sure I've got a positive cash flow on my products and services that I'm providing.
Yes, indeed. And how can solopreneurs attack A players without corporate salaries?
How can you attract A players to your business in terms of like the people in your
Equity,
business?
hybrids, yes, and passion projects.
Yeah, I'd say first off, you've got to take care of your people. Okay, um, you know, just because you've got a good business doesn't mean you've got a good people strategy, okay, or culture. And what I have found very consistently in my business and another business that I've been a part of is the people make or break a company. And so, how do you attract A players? First off, you get rid of people who are creating a very negative workplace. If you've got people in your business that are causing problems, slacking off, creating an environment where people see very night and day differences between effective producers or high performing people, and then at the same time you accept people who are not performing and you treat them the same. That ultimately creates a problem where A players don't want to be in that organization because they're not going to get compensated or treated adequately based on their performance. So it all comes down to culture. It all comes down to how you treat your people, taking care of them, of course, but also getting the people that are not helpful, that are not productive, that are not collaborative, and basically making those hard decisions to get those people out of the business so that you can make room for the people who are going to be positive and productive.
Very well said, Mr. Brad. What systems free founders from daily ops to focus on growth?
So when it comes to systems, I mean, there's a lot of software out there, right? Whether it's CRM or project management, or there's a lot of buzzwords and lingos out there like EOS, things like that. I'd say the key is building a good team. Okay, so if you're an owner or if you're an executive leader, um, the systems are nice and they're necessary, but if you don't have the right team or the people in place, it doesn't really matter what system you've got. So
Mm,
it takes both, right? So I would say, from a systems perspective, making sure that you are very clear on your vision and your goals and what you're trying to achieve, and then making sure that the leaders within your business have clear lines of communication between those goals and what they're doing. um, because as an owner, you can't do it all. As a leader or a CEO, you can't do it all. And so you've got to be able to delegate. You've got to be able to empower your people to do work. And if they don't know what they're doing or why they're doing it, again, it doesn't matter what system you're going to use. It's going to fail. So I would say it's systems, but it's also just leadership and team alignment.
Mr. Brad, how do a lead SMBs diversify lead gen when Meta Google ads suddenly tank?
How do you continue balancing that challenge?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I mean, I think the first off, the probably the most important thing is to be measuring it. Okay. If you don't know that it's going, if it's declining, if you don't know that something has changed and you're not sure what or how much or why, it's going to be you're going to be very very slow to respond.
Mm.
So I think the first key is to be measuring it and monitoring it on a regular basis, whether that's weekly or monthly. Those are pretty good frequencies. But I think you've got to be measuring it and monitoring it so that you are aware of when it changes, right? Yeah, I mean, there's some um, uh, there's some symptoms of that, right? The phone stops ringing, the emails stop coming in. Um, but if you're paying attention to website traffic, if you actually are measuring call volume, those are the things that you would have first alert you to that there's a problem that needs to be responded to. And generally speaking, when it comes to, in my opinion, in my experience, when it comes to staying sort of on top of lead gen and meta and all the things that may be uh, changing over time, is to make sure that you're just putting out good content. Okay. If you've got a good website and it's the good content, I think Google awards that because people are coming by and visiting your site. They're staying on the site because they're finding good stuff. So as long as you're being legitimate in terms of that stuff on an ongoing basis, I think you can pretty much always stay on top of the all the algorithms that may be changing from day to day.
Mr. Brad, beyond asking what system turns happy clients into relentless referral partners?
What systems? I would say the system that I recommend is asking for feedback on a regular basis. Okay.
Mm, yes.
So that, I mean, you can do that through software, you can do that through emails, you can do that through phone calls. But to get clients who are big advocates of you and what you're doing, I think you have to ask for feedback. And it's not so much asking for feedback so that you can get someone to saying, "Hey, you're doing a great job." It's more to identify the problems that you have with clients, maybe when you're not doing a good job, so that you can fix those things. Because if you're not asking the questions about, hey, what can we do better, and you're not constantly fixing and improving what you've got, you're going to have clients that are unhappy and they're not going to be recommending you. So I think it's the best system in the world is to ask those clients for feedback on how you're doing, and ask for authentic feedback. What's not working, so that we can improve that stuff.
Authentic indeed. Mr. Brad, as an SMB industry expert, dynamic owner, and CEO, what are your short term and long term goals?
Short and long term goals. I'd say the long term goals are to continue growing the business. I think every business out there, for the most part, is trying to do the same thing, right? Which is run a business, have a great people to work with, and long term, it's growth. Because if you are growing a business, you're going to have more opportunities for your people as they grow and get better at their jobs, and they take on more leadership and responsibility. They will have more opportunities, and you can backfill those opportunities with new people. If you're not growing, those opportunities don't exist. So the long-term goal is always continue to growing, and whether that's doubling, tripling, what have you, growth is the long-term goal. And I would say the short-term goal is to continue focusing on a day-to-day basis on what it is that got us here, that helps us be of value to our clients. So taking care of your clients, providing a good service or good product at a reasonable rate, um, that's always going to be the short term focus, is taking care of your clients real time.
Good luck to your goals, Mr. Brad, and looking forward for more success. And what would be your piece of advice for those people out there who want to be like you?
Great question.
Yes.
For people that want to be like me, let's assume for a second that they're wanting to be successful in their organization, having a great team, working with them. I would say the advice that I would give them is to be authentically themselves. If you're an owner and you're a business and you're trying to be like somebody else, okay, if you're trying to be like me, and that's not authentic and that's not you, then I think it's not a good strategy. I don't think it's a good way of doing it. So, so as ironic it is as to say that if you're trying to be more effective or more like me, the best thing you can do is not try to be like me. It is to, but is to be exactly who you are meant to do, who you are meant to be, and lean into that, so that you're really true to yourself, so that at the end of the day, at the end of the year, at the end of a career, you don't have any regrets, you don't have anybody to apologize to, because you did it your way and you did it, you know, exactly in line with your character and your values.
Yes, you did it authentically through the help of Mr. Brad, for sure. And can you recommend a book that influenced your journey, Mr. Brad?
Yeah, I mean, I am a constant reader. I read lots and lots and lots of books, and like one of my favorite ways of consuming books is Audible. I'm a big fan of Audible. I read books all the time on that platform. In that, my favorite book of all time is a book by Marshall Goldsmith. It's called What Got You Here Won't Get You There. And the whole concept of the book is, as you grow as a a leader, a business person, what have you, you're going to achieve success, right? But that success will get you so far in your career, but a lot of times you have to shift and adapt and grow in different ways when you reach certain parts in your career. If you're, I'll give you a good example. If you're really really good at sales, great at sales, and now you become a sales manager, that requires a completely different set of skills than just being good at sales. Now you have to manage people, right? You have to manage expectations, that kind of stuff. Going from a sales manager to a vice president of sales, or a chief revenue officer, or maybe even CEO, each time you make a big shift, it requires a completely different set of skills, all people based, of course. But the book, What Got You Here Won't Get You There, is all about the dynamic between all those things you had to do to get where you are now, but those not being the skills that you necessarily need to get to the next growth phase in your business or in your career. And it's taking a look at those things that may be holding you back from greater success, because you're still leaning on the things that got you there. It's a great book.
Highly recommended by Mr. Brad White. Thank you so much for that book, Mr. Brad. And what 10-minute audit reveals if your business is operationally elite versus average?
What sort of an audit is that? What your question was? What How do you audit that, or how do you review that?
Yes. How do you
Okay.
reveal that your business is something elite versus average?
That's a good question. I think it depends on really the goal. I think it really depends on what your objective is. If it's purely financial, then yeah, you could look at your financial statements and you could see, what do the financials say? Do they say you're making a profit? Do they say you're not making a profit? I think more important, possibly, is, what is your vision and what is your mission? Like, what are you trying to accomplish? So, maybe you're in a nonprofit organization. It's not all about money, but what type of impact are you making in the world? So, if your vision is to change people's lives, eradicate poverty, or cure a disease, right? Those are completely different measures or metrics of success and metrics of an elite organization. So I think you really always have to look back at what is the vision, what is your mission that you're trying to accomplish in this world, and it doesn't always come down to a dollars or cents or financial type of judgment.
So, Mr. Brad, what are your vision and mission to your company?
Great. I mean, our vision is to basically be an indispensable solution provider for small businesses, so that we are the kind of company that they can come to, and we are going to look at what they're doing, how we can help them be successful, and be a strong partner or ally in that. And so that's kind of our long term vision. And how we do that is by offering great um, solutions on the QuickBooks platform and QuickBase platform, and by also integrating various solutions to make systems and workflows scalable and efficient so they can grow and achieve more.
Good luck to that vision and mission, Mr. Brad. And before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season, abstract poetry in second season, and book 101 review in fifth season as well. Comedy 101 in second season, and my food 101 in fifth season too. Geography 101 in fourth season, and my baby podcast Law 101 and Mental Health 101. Love Letters in third season, and Movie 101 review and Music 101 in fourth season, and Science 101 and Sex 101 in its first season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. Mr. Brad, if listeners implement one solution today, what moves the needle fastest?
I would say what moves the needle fastest is just again focusing on your people, right? Focusing on who you're working with. Are you helping them grow? Are you helping them achieve more? And so always focus on the people, because it doesn't. At the end of the day, it's all about the people.
It's all about the people. So let's empower them and to create a better solution in every day. Mr. Brad White, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So, can you please invite our listeners to support your business, your advocacy, or any projects that you're doing right now?
I would just say, reach out to us if there's something that we can do to help your business be more successful. Yeah, barksolutions.com. Take a look and let us know how we can help you.
Yes, people, let's support Mr. Brad White, because if you support him, more and more and more empowering business to come, more and more empowering advocacy to come. So, Mr. Brad, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for having me.
More to come, people. See you soon.